Times Now Politics. Poll of polls.
Welcome back. In all the states, the voter turnout has been much higher this time. Let's put the pie charts out on what the voter turnouts are. In Chhattisgarh, this time 75%. Last time 70.6%, that's 4.4% more. Madhya Pradesh, this time 71% as opposed to 69.8%, I think 1.2% more. Rajasthan is almost 9% more, it's 8.6% at 75.2% compared to 66.5% last time. I think the numbers are being shown on the screen right now as we speak, and the number in Delhi is also very interesting. We got a number of 62%. Now we are told that number has gone up to 66%, which is the highest, which is therefore expected, I am told, by our news team. Delhi is expected to cross 70% polling this time. 70% polling is the highest ever turnout. This is breaking news coming in from our Times Now news desk. We spoke to a few of our sources who are saying the number is going beyond 70%. It has never happened before. Never ever happened before. Let's get a few comments in. Nirja, what do you think? Mr. Rajagopal, what do you think?
Very neck and neck, Arnab. If the 70% means anti-Congress votes or more.
No,
that is the indication now.
That
is the indication we get, and 70% means it's a huge, a sizable one towards BJP. That will definitely
Nirja. But I think a larger number of people come out when they are exercised about some issues.
Right.
Number two, the EC's campaign to make them more aware about their rights as a voter and their duties as a voter. And I would also give credit to 24/7 channels which have created a buzz on issues in the last 5 years and made people more awake. So I think it could be an indication of a desire for change, number one, and this awakening all around, particularly in urban middle class.
Let's get an Election Commission update from our Deputy Chief of Bureau, Madhav Das Gopalakrishnan, the EC. Madhav, can you give us the latest updates that you're getting? This number from Delhi is quite phenomenal. What are you hearing?
Well, Arnab, it was around 55% when the final counting of the 3 o'clock counting was done. 3 o'clock round of counting was done. At 5 o'clock, about 1/3 of the votes have so far been counted, and it's already reached 66%. That means this is 4,000 of the 12,000 polling booths whose votes I'm talking to you about. So the final figure could well be beyond 70. It could perhaps be even as high as 75 to 80%. We can't give you a final figure on that. We'll get a final number only when the Chief Electoral Officer has his press conference here at about 6 o'clock. But in any case, we're looking at a record turnout. The highest ever was in 93 at about 61.8%. That was the highest ever. But this time round, it's been a combination of factors, a combination of the number of parties, a combination of the fact that at least 15 lakh voters have been deleted from a voter list of about 1.2 crores, about 4 lakhs more added, which means in any case, about 10% of the voter list of bogus voters was deleted for parties that have been winning in the past. What does this mean? Also, the high voter turnout, what does this mean for them? Several such questions that perhaps will only get clearer answers once the final figures are out. But in either case, it's a record turnout as far as the Delhi poll is concerned here in the national capital. And also, Arnab, another factor that I must tell you is that normally when voting closes, whoever is inside the polling booth, the 10, 15, 20 people that are around, whoever has a voting slip in hand is allowed to vote. We've been hearing of dozens of such polling booths inside this office that have been, where there are over 100 to 200 people here. So if you multiply that by the 12,000 odd polling booths, the number is pretty phenomenal. There could be lakhs more before the final voting figure comes out. So even at 6 o'clock, when the Chief Electoral Officer does brief the media, we could be seeing a final figure that could be even more than what he does brief us about.
Well, I can only say this, Madhav, that if I was, watching it from the office of the Aam Aadmi Party, I'd be very excited.
Absolutely.
I'd be very excited about that number of 70+%.
If there is a category of voters,
I'll come to you.
If there's a category of voters who say, I don't care to vote, never voted in the past, and went down today, then it's a vote for Jhadu.
Something, I'm saying this evening, and let this be put on record, for all the exit polls and opinion polls, something very interesting is happening in the National Capital Region. Has Arvind Kejriwal managed to successfully steal the agenda away from the BJP right under its nose? This was meant to be a referendum for Arvind Kejriwal's brand of politics. If it was from Kejriwal's camp today, I'd be hugely excited and feeling positive about what's happening. Let's get a few reactions. Sava, and then Ajay.
Arnab, till about half an hour ago, I was convinced that BJP will be the #1 party and Aam Aadmi would be the #2. I expect a Congress collapse. But hearing these kind of figures, because I'm now getting more and more convinced that Aam Aadmi is pulling a big surprise. I also expected Mr. Kejriwal to defeat Sheila Dikshit. That I'm putting my neck out here. I've been saying this in my office, and they've all been saying I'm wrong. And I've been sticking my neck out that in that seat he will defeat Sheila Dikshit. Although we don't know how many seats they'll get.
Can you imagine the impact of this kind of upset on the national scene? This is the capital city. And you have a party which comes out of nowhere. And just takes it away. If that happens, I think it will have an electrifying effect on the national scene.
And Modi, look at the way he campaigned in Delhi. 2 mega rallies plus rallies in all the 7 Lok Sabha constituencies. So he really put his neck on the line for this election.
The question I will have when I come out on the other side of the break will be that in previous voted elections in Delhi, I'll come after a short break. In previous elections in Delhi, has there been anything which has indicated this kind of a major, upswing in terms of the votes cast? In a municipal election, perhaps? In the last corporation elections? Which were the last local body elections in Delhi? Has there been this kind of participation? Political participation has reached an all-time high, and the general feeling is now that this bodes very well for the Aam Aadmi Party. Back in a few minutes.
I mean, Sheila Dikshit ji has done a lot of good work, so I think she'll do well.
Times Now Politics. Poll of polls.
.30 p.m. on our Poll of Poll program. I think it's time to bring out the first set of numbers that we are polling this evening as per the 1 p.m. forecast of Sea Voter. We are now going to look at the very critical state of Delhi. Delhi, 1 p.m. forecast of Sea Voter. It is on your screen right now. I just want to do a very quick summary of this before we move on. What we are talking about broadly is we are still talking about a hung assembly, no clear mandate. We're talking of the Aam Aadmi Party, which with the 28% of the vote gets 16 seats. The Congress with 28% of the vote gets 21 seats. The BJP with 32% of the votes gets 29 seats. So we have the BJP being the single largest party, but no party individually goes past the halfway mark. This is what we are projecting as a 1 p.m., which means that the Aam Aadmi Party's performance is at a fairly decent 16 seats, but it's way off the mark from its own internal expectation of 47 seats. Point number 2 is that the Aam Aadmi Party, entry into the fray of the Aam Aadmi Party has made sure that the Congress Party's loss has not been the BJP's gain, but the loss has been so much that the BJP is the single largest party anyway. What happens politically in such a situation? This also means that all this voting that you are seeing, at least from what Yashwant Deshmukh and Sea Voter are predicting in terms of their exit poll, is not necessarily all a vote for the Aam Aadmi Party. Much of it is also going as a last-minute surge towards the BJP. How much of a surge and what does this mean? Jay.
In the past, in the history of Indian elections, we have seen in a triangular contest, even a 3% vote share difference produces absolute majorities. Let's not rule out either the BJP, in the worst case the Aam Aadmi Party, or even the Congress getting an absolute majority.
I agree.
The second point is that if you look at the vote shares of both the mainstream parties, both of them have lost votes as compared to 2008. So certainly it's an anti-incumbent vote. Now, how it plays out on the ground, if the Aam Aadmi Party is very well spread across all the seats, it's going to be the loser. However, if it's concentrated in a few pockets, it can pull a surprise.
Right. Now, in the 2008 results, the Congress party got 40%
of the votes. Now it's
down
28.
to 28%.
So 12% swing here, right down here.
That's a 12% swing here. But the critical question here is the entry of the Aam Aadmi Party. It gets 16%, 28%
of the votes again.
28% of the votes again. It gets 16 seats. If the Aam Aadmi Party, which makes a fairly dramatic entry with 28% of the vote, which is more or less what we had predicted the last time as well.
27.
If the Aam Aadmi Party were to say under 15 seats, then there could be a situation in terms of government formation where the BJP with some smaller parties like the BSP could form the government. However, the present situation of the Aam Aadmi Party is that it is neither quite here nor quite there. It's made a great entry. It's, however, not been able to stem the BJP, which remains the leader party at 32 seats. Yashwant, explain first of all the numbers that you're putting on the screen.
You see, the numbers
how's it
till 1 o'clock, I mean, it is more than 12,000 sample across Delhi and covering all 70 segments of Delhi. But let me be very plain and clear about it. In the exit poll or the pre-poll surveys, the surveys get you the vote share, and within the plus minus 3% range of the vote share. You can do a mathematical calculation of how those votes may convert into the seats. Those kind of conversions generally work well when the party has a history of election in the previous election, because various models work on that. In the case where the parties are contesting for the first time, it is absolutely impossible to say how many seats they are going to win. Now you may actually ask that if Aam Aadmi Party is getting 28% just like the Congress, then why it is getting 16 seats and Congress getting 21? So answer lies in what Jay is saying, that that Congress has got a better concentration in few of the seats, especially in their strong MLAs, where their MLAs are performing better than the in the normal seats. But having said that, in a three-way fight, when you are showing up a number of 28 and 32%, statistically speaking, the fight is going in any direction. You can never be sure how many seats which party is going to win. If we, by mathematical aberration, we are saying that these many seats are going to this party, kindly keep in mind this is an open race as on today. As far as I can see as a psephologist, things can go in any possible direction. But yes, because the BJP vote is still about 32% by 1 o'clock, it is a lead of about 3 to 4%, which is a substantial lead in a three-way contest. And we have seen in a three-way contest like Uttar Pradesh, where a 3% vote margin actually leads a party to a complete majority.
From the Aam Aadmi Party offices, we have Aam Aadmi Party leader Sanjay Singh, where they just had a press conference. Sanjay Singh ji, namaskar. ये 28% के वोट शेयर के साथ जो प्रोजेक्शन है ये एग्जिट पोल का जो यशवंत देशमुख दिखा रहे हैं, वो दिखा रहे हैं कि 16 सीट्स मिलेंगी आम आदमी पार्टी को और 28% वोट शेयर होगा। मगर हमें यह भी खबर आ रही है कि इस बार जो वोटिंग हुई है दिल्ली में, वो लोग ये कह रहे हैं कि 70, 75, 70, 75% के ऊपर हो सकता है। तो आपको क्या लगता है कि ये अनुमान जो आंकड़े हैं एग्जिट पोल के, वो सही साबित होंगे कि कुछ बदल जाएगा आखिरी वक्त पर?
देखिए, दिल्ली में ऐतिहासिक वोटिंग हुई है। अगर 70% से क्रॉस हो रही है तो आज तक दिल्ली के इतिहास में कभी इतना वोट परसेंटेज इलेक्शन में कभी इतनी जनता निकली नहीं है मतदान करने के लिए। तो ये आम आदमी पार्टी के लिए एक अच्छा संकेत है और निश्चित रूप से वोटर्स में इस बार उत्साह दिखा, एक अच्छे विकल्प, एक ईमानदार विकल्प को वोट देने की होड़ दिखी। और जो हम लोग गए बूथ पे और जिस तरह का रिएक्शन लोगों का मिल रहा था, हमने अपना काम कर दिया, अब आप लोगों की जिम्मेदारी है, इस तरह के जो लोग सवाल कर रहे थे और बोल रहे थे, इससे ये साफ संकेत है कि आम आदमी पार्टी की सरकार दिल्ली में बनेगी। कांग्रेस बीजेपी के तुलना में एक बेहतर विकल्प जनता चुन रही है दिल्ली में।
और अगर ऐसा रहा कि कोई एक पार्टी को 35 सीट नहीं मिली सरकार बनाने के लिए और जरूरी पड़ा और बहुजन समाज पार्टी या छोटे पार्टीज के साथ भी मिलकर के सरकार नहीं बन सकती है, जैसे हमारे आंकड़े अभी आ रहे हैं, तो फिर आम आदमी पार्टी क्या कहेगी दिल्ली के लोगों को? फिर मतदान हो?
अर्नव जी,
ये चीज क्योंकि शीला दीक्षित ने तो इंडिकेट कर दिया कि आपके साथ किसी तरह के तालमेल करने को तैयार है वो।
मैं बहुत साफ तौर पे आपके सामने कहना चाहता हूं आपके चैनल पे, और कई बार इसको स्पष्ट किया जा चुका है कि आम आदमी पार्टी पहले दिन से यह कह रही है कि ना तो कांग्रेस ना बीजेपी, किसी पार्टी के साथ समझौता करने की कहीं कोई आवश्यकता ही नहीं पड़ेगी। हम उस राजनीति में कतई यकीन नहीं करते। आम आदमी पार्टी को दिल्ली की जनता पूर्ण बहुमत देगी, इसमें हमें किसी प्रकार का कोई संदेह नहीं है। बाकी जो एग्जिट पोल के नतीजे आए हैं और इसके पहले ओपिनियन पोल के जो नतीजे थे, 8 तारीख को चीजें बिल्कुल साफ हो जाएंगी, स्पष्ट हो जाएंगी कि कौन जीत रहा है, कौन हार रहा है।
ओके जी, बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद, थैंक यू वेरी मच। शेष नारायण सिंह जी, यू बीन लिसनिंग ऑन, तो आपको क्या लग रहा है जो नंबर है वो क्या दिखा रही है?
नहीं, नंबर में एक आई वांट टू टेल यू समथिंग which is in my mind. I wanted to share it with all of you. The percentage of votes we shouldn't get swayed away by this.
We shouldn't get swayed.
Oh, because
why do you say that?
The people who have ensured that the vote percent goes up is the Narendra Modi rally. One, that's a very important factor in vote percent going up. The other is, you must remember, and it was printed also in certain newspapers, that Mohan Bhagwat, the RSS chief, had demanded from his workers to ensure 100% polling.
Do you think so?
So it was in the newspaper.
Okay,
also.
okay. So that's
that is one of the factors.
You agree with that, Manisha?
One of the things that's not being said is that 4 chief ministers of 4 different states. It's the migrant voters in Delhi. 4 different state chief ministers have come here, wooing the voters. Ultimately, even Narendra Modi, who started from Japani Park, was addressing the voters in the peripheral areas. So what has come to the center of Delhi is really the marginal voter, and this number is telling us that we are not at decision point yet. It's the marginal voter that is still saying that, do I go with the Jhadu or do I decide in favor of the winning party, and which one is that winning party? A clear result that we have is that the Congress is not going to come back to power.
There is just...
But who takes the race towards Old Delhi, towards civil lines, where the headquarters of the Delhi government are located? That is an open question, even with the C-voter survey.
The only point, take another break, the only point I want to make is, without putting the numbers out, the results in the other states indicate that there is stronger bipolarity happening in Rajasthan. There is stronger bipolarity happening in Chhattisgarh and Madhya Pradesh. More and more votes are being cast both for the Congress and the BJP combined compared to the last election. Delhi is an exception, which means there is the space for that kind of a third force. However, Delhi is the only place where it has emerged at the cost of the BSP. These are numbers we projected only up to 1 o'clock. I'd like to repeat, these are not the final numbers from Delhi. The final numbers from Delhi should be with me in about half an hour from now. But when I come back, I will have the final numbers from the battleground of Chhattisgarh.